Hello guys, I hope you're well. You got Mr. Eveything English here, and in today's video I want to do a quick summary of the entire book Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Now, as the English literature exam is so close, I want this video to be the perfect video for your last minute revision of the book. So in total, the book has 10 chapters, and without further ado, let's begin with chapter 1. Alright guys, so chapter 1, this is the chapter titled Story of the Door, and in this chapter, Utterson and Enfield are out for a walk, and Enfield recounts a story or a time to Utterson about one night when he was walking home. Now, on this night when he was walking home, it was about 3 in the morning, dark. The question arises, where is he coming from? And on this night, he witnesses a man and a little girl walking, and the man tramples over the girl. This man, we later find, is the man named Hyde, and Hyde trampled calmly over the girl, which in itself is an oxymoron, because you don't normally trample calmly over a body. And Enfield here talks about how Hyde was a very strange character, a strange person, how Hyde brought out all the evil emotions about the people that were there, and the crowds gathered, and so on. And he talks about how they made Hyde pay a fine, and he happily paid the fine. So this was the first chapter, Story of the Door. Utterson and Enfield go for a walk. Enfield tells Utterson the story of the door. This is the story that Hyde trampled over a girl. They made Hyde pay a fine, and how Hyde was quite satanic, quite devilish, and he brought out all the evil emotions. Now, chapter 2, this is the chapter called Search for Mr. Hyde. In this chapter, we learn about Jekyll's will, and we learn that Hyde is quite troubled about Jekyll's will, because it talks about, if I disappear, then give all my wealth to a man called Hyde, and so on. And at this point, Utterson is quite disturbed. So he goes to see his friend Lanyon to ask about Jekyll, how is he, and so on. Lanyon explains that he hasn't spoken to Jekyll for 10 years, and that they don't really get on. And at this part of the book, in chapter 2, Utterson at night tries to go to sleep, but he keeps having dreams about Hyde. He's having nightmares about Hyde, which shows clearly that Utterson is being disturbed by the thought of Hyde. This is how evil and nasty he is. Therefore, what does he do? He becomes obsessed with trying to see Hyde. So he haunts the door. He haunts the door that Enfield told him about in chapter 1, where Hyde entered. So every night he stands at the door, waiting, until one night he finally gets his chance to speak and to see Hyde. And other than that, the only other important thing in this part of the book is that Utterson is worried that Hyde may kill Jekyll to inherit the will. Chapter 3, guys, this is the chapter called Dr. Jekyll was quite at ease, and this is the part in the book where Jekyll holds a dinner party, and after the party is finished, Utterson hangs about to talk to Jekyll about the will and so on. Jekyll kind of fobs the question, kind of ignores the question, but he hints at a strange relationship between himself and Hyde, but doesn't give him any details. And he says to Utterson that, don't worry, when I want to, at any moment, I can be rid of Hyde, which is foreshadowing, of course, because nope, he could not be rid of Hyde when he wanted to. That is chapter 3. So we get a glimpse of the character of Jekyll and the relationship between Jekyll and Hyde and Jekyll and Utterson. Chapter 4, we fast forward nearly a year, and this is the chapter which is called the Carew murder case. And in this chapter, we have Hyde striking again. This time Hyde murders quite brutally the MP, Sir Danvers Carew. He batters him with a cane. Two important things to consider here. In chapter 1, when he tramples over the girl, you may argue it was on impulse. You may argue it was kind of a spur of the moment. But in chapter 4, he's walking around with the cane, which shows that he was looking for somebody to kill. Possibly he was looking for Sir Danvers Carew. He batters him, and everyone begins looking for Hyde because they find the murder weapon, the cane. And the contrast here is stark. When Hyde trampled over the girl, nobody really cared. Some people did, but it wasn't that much of a big deal. When Hyde kills Sir Danvers Carew, it's massive public outcry. everyone is on the streets, which again shows the injustice of the class. Just because the Adam's crew is rich, he gets special treatment. Chapter 5, guys, is the incident of the letter. Utterson goes to Jekyll's house and he finds Jekyll looking deathly sick. Jekyll looks so unwell, and Utterson asks Jekyll, have you seen Hyde? Have you heard of Hyde? Have you heard from Hyde? And Jekyll shows him a letter saying that it says in the letter that I will never ever see Hyde again. Hyde is gone. Look at him, he wrote me a letter telling me he's done with me, he's gone, he's leaving me, he's not coming back. And there's some suspicion in Utterson. So Utterson asks his head clerk, Guest, to compare the handwriting on the letter to the handwriting on an invite sent from Jekyll. And upon looking at the handwriting, Guest realizes that the handwriting has a different slope. So one may be sloped that way, the other sloped that way. But he comes to the conclusion that the handwriting is of the same person. And at this point, Utterson is suspecting that Jekyll is forging Hyde's signature to cover up for him, to help him escape from the murder of Saddam's crew. But what's important is Utterson does nothing. Utterson stays quiet. Guys, chapter 6, this is the remarkable incident of Dr. Lanyon. So guys, time goes by, Jekyll seems happy, things seems good, nobody can find Hyde. So whilst Jekyll is happy and so on, Utterson goes to visit Dr. Lanyon, and Dr. Lanyon looks absolutely destroyed. He looks upset, he looks sad, he looks deadly, he's like on his deathbed. Yes, something has happened to him. And when Utterson mentions the name of Jekyll, Lanyon says, shush, shut up. I don't want to hear Jekyll's name mentioned in my house. Also then, guys, in this chapter, Lanyon passes away, but Lanyon leaves a letter for Utterson, but makes Utterson promise that he does not open the letter until the death or disappearance of Dr. Jekyll, which again is foreshadowing, because from the very early on in the play, the disappearance or the death of Jekyll from the will to the letter has been discussed. Chapter 7, guys, is the incident of the window. This is a very short chapter. In this chapter, again, Utterson and Enfield are out for a walk. They come across the house of Jekyll. Jekyll has become very unsociable, doesn't come out of the house, no one's seen him. But at the window, so you've got 3 windows, 1, 2, and in the middle is half open. The half open could symbolize half Jekyll, half Hyde, just a separate point. But at the window, there stands Dr. Jekyll. And Utterson says to him, come out, let's go for a walk. Jekyll says, I can't leave. Because Jekyll can't leave, they talk to him from the window, and at that point Jekyll transforms from Jekyll into Hyde for a split second, and he slams the window shut. This could emphasize that Jekyll no longer has control between the shifts that he has from Jekyll to Hyde. But again, what's important is Enfield and Utterson completely ignore it. Sorry guys, 1 second. Chapter 8, guys. Last night, this is now when Poole goes to get Utterson. Poole is very concerned. Poole is the servant of Dr. Jekyll. He goes to get Utterson. He says to Utterson, we need your help. Jekyll hasn't come out of his room. Jekyll is inside his room. He's not leaving. We need your help. Please come. Utterson comes to help Poole. They eventually knock the door down for the laboratory. Inside the laboratory, they find the body of Dr. Jekyll. They can't find the body of Hyde. We assume that Dr. Jekyll committed suicide. To get rid of Hyde, he had to kill himself. And at this point, the chapter ends. Chapter 9 is Dr. Lanyon's narrative. This is where Lanyon explains his side of the story. Lanyon talks about how Jekyll wrote him a letter saying that he needs his help. And he told him to go to his house, go to the laboratory, get the potion, and he told him that somebody will come to get the potion from you at midnight. At midnight, there's somebody happens to be Hyde, and Lanyon watches Hyde transform from Hyde into Jekyll. What's important is before the transformation takes place, Hyde says to him to go, that what you're going to see is going to ruin you. But because of the innate greed that man has, Lanyon stays and watches, and that's what ruins him. His eyes cannot fathom what they see, and he is mentally disturbed from that point. So we learn that Hyde is Jekyll and Jekyll is Hyde. Guys, chapter 10, we're nearly there. I hope this video is helpful, guys. Chapter 10 is Henry Jekyll's full statement of the case. As like many other Gothic texts, the big reveal happens right at the end. So in the last chapter, we learn why Jekyll created Hyde. Jekyll was rich, Jekyll was famous, Jekyll was known. So he couldn't be who he wanted to be in the public eye because people were always watching him. So to create an almost alter ego, a different personality, to get freedom, if you like, he creates the being of Hyde. He tries to be God. But what happens? It goes terribly wrong. Because as the play develops, Hyde gets stronger and stronger, Jekyll gets weaker and weaker. Moral of the story, don't try to be God. And guys, at that point, the novel ends. What's interesting is we don't hear from Utterson after chapter 8. We don't really hear, sorry, after chapter 9, we don't really hear from him. And that is the entire play of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Now, obviously guys, when you're sitting in your exam, I hope this video comes to your mind where you can pinpoint the order in which things are happening. There are key quotes across the play. Please watch my video of the top 5 quotes on Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, because that video will help. I'm going to wrap it up here. That was just a quick walkthrough. If you have any questions, let me know. Any comments, drop them down below. Any other comments, any questions, DM them to me on Instagram. As always, thank you for watching.